Hi, I'm Tim Schools, President and CEO of Capstar Bank. Capstar Bank is excited to host this year's event, and I congratulate all honorees. It is through leadership such as yours that Nashville has so many wonderful companies and continues to thrive and increase its competitiveness nationally as a place to live and do business. Over the past 13 years, Capstar has been fortunate to help form and grow a number of organizations across our community. It's exciting to see your success, and we appreciate all that you do.
Hi, and welcome to In Charge Talks, a series of discussions on leadership and strategy with local executives. I'm Nancy Floyd, Editor-in-Chief of Nfocus Magazine, joined by Tina Doniger, Executive Director of the Community Resource Center. First of all, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So this year has been an incredibly difficult one for Nashville between the tornado, the pandemic, the Christmas Day bombing. What has been the biggest challenge facing the Community Resource Center this year?
Well, certainly, we operate kind of at a heightened level, 365 days a year, serving 325 plus Nashville organizations. So when you add a pandemic and you add a disaster into the middle of it, it just takes it to a whole other level. And so really our struggle has been around people, whether it was staffing. We had to staff up in the midst of a disaster because we operate kind of at a lean staffing, just because we want all of our money, all of our finances to go to product and to the programs that we serve. But really in the midst of a disaster and you have thousands of donations coming in every day, you really don't have a moment to stop and figure out what is the most strategic plan along this.
Right.
But certainly at the same time, COVID really hit us hard with volunteers. And when you have a lean staff, those extra hands along the way are really how you monitor, how fast we can get stuff out of the building, how fast we can process it. And certainly going from hundreds of volunteers in the midst of a disaster to 10 in the building has really been a struggle for us, most definitely.
Yeah. What do you think the biggest challenge facing nonprofits overall this year has been?
Well, I think certainly need. So when you are managing well, which I think a lot of the nonprofits in Nashville do a really great job of serving their purpose and their mission on a regular basis. But when that need jumps exponentially overnight in a lot of ways, the moment the city shut down, the moment the hourly workers were impacted with closing of restaurants and bars and things like that, you had a whole subset of people that had never needed additional help. They were hustlers. They knew how to go from paycheck to paycheck. They knew how to manage money with that kind of position. But now these nonprofits were impacted needing food and basic essentials for us, most definitely, diapers and formula, those things that I think a lot of people take for granted that they just have enough money in the bank. But when you're searching for help for the first time, a lot of people don't know where to go and get it. And so I think knowing that we had to not only keep that line of what we typically do, but then handle the spikes. Because what normally happens is you have a spike, but then you have this valley. And so you can recover in the valley and kind of get your product back in, finish what project you're working on, kind of ramp up into the next one. That spike did not ever valley. It really kind of plateaued at the top and even went higher. And so that's really been a challenge for a lot of people.
Yeah. So this year, obviously, we've all had to learn how to adjust and adapt. We've had to implement new processes and new systems on the fly. All of us have across all industries. What is the biggest change that you had to implement at the Community Resource Center this year?
Well, we really have always kind of operated in that our partners got to shop. They would work the warehouse just like a Dollar General or, a store like that. We had different areas for clothing and basic essentials and the fun products and things like that. So the moment that COVID hit, we literally, April 13th, no more shopping in the building. And so we implemented a kind of drive-through process that they placed online orders. We pulled all of those orders on behalf of those partners. And then it's just like a click list kind of situation. You're given a lane, you drive up, pick up, and they never talk to us. Part of that is not just the online ordering or implementing that process. It's also really learning your people well. So where we knew what our partners did, but now you had to get deeper because you were shopping on behalf of them. You were pulling. So a lot of conversations with our partners, a lot of reaching back out to clarify what their needs might be, and then learning those nuances has really been kind of that changing catalyst for us. And when you jump from about 125 partners in 2019 to well over 300 in a span of about 9 months, you've got a lot of nuance there to pick up and learn. And so that's been a big challenge, but one that I think our partners miss being in the building to see what all the goodies are, but I think we also serve them better because we're focused on that basic essential. We're focused on that household cleaning supply. It really has allowed us to take our strategic plan and implement it better with our partners that way.
So are there any changes you've implemented this year that you anticipate becoming permanent moving forward?
I think we will never open our doors again to shopping in the warehouse.
Really?
It has been, well, first of all, I don't think there's room for it. We've really added a lot of new product, and the product that is better situated with our strategic plan, and our plan for how to move forward in the city and fill the need and the gap that is there in that basic essential role. Where some of the tchotchkes and the fun stuff will have to go to the side because we've got too much of the core product that we need to carry. I think additionally, it allows our partners to really be focused on what serves them well. And that's what we need to be focused on. What are the needs of their mission that takes them out of work mode because they're trying to call a brand to get toothbrushes or toothpaste or whatever the case might be. Allow us to utilize our relationships and what we do best, which is line that product up, receive it by tractor trailer, sometimes multiple tractor trailers, and then utilize our distribution techniques to get it out the door.
What has been your biggest success story in the past year?
Oh gosh,
you have a lot, don't you?
I think we did really well in the tornado. I think where we won was pivoting, and I really hate that word. Coming up with creative ways to serve people in that COVID space. What happened in COVID is that a lot of populations fell through the cracks. There's a great story out of MDHA with our senior towers in which most of those individuals were very scared to leave. So they were having food delivered in through Second Harvest and Meals on Wheels and Loaves and Fishes, like different kinds of groups were bringing in food. And through a phone call and a partnership with the Frist Foundation, we were able to really come up with a plan that would serve those people well, with something that could come along with that food. It wasn't overloading them to take it back to their room, but allowed them to have a little comfort, playing cards, Sudoku books, things like that, along with paper products, cleaning supplies, and basic hygiene. That was a huge win for us. I think the other thing that hit COVID really hard and partners really hard is a lot of people shut their door. They went virtual for work. We never had that luxury, which meant if your partner is closed and they're serving a really at-risk population, you have to get creative in how you serve those people. And so a model that doesn't really serve us well is direct service. We kind of stay out of that realm. We allow our partners to do that direct service. We serve our partners. They serve the individual and the constituent. So we had to go direct to the people. So we did drive-through events at our warehouse and clogged traffic on Lebanon Road. And we got really strategic in other partners that were serving food or things like that and took kits directly to where people were going to be lined up to receive other goods. We additionally served people that we had never, ever really thought about, our stagehands, our musicians, our hospitality workers. So we were going straight to where they were at and working through their employers or other nonprofits from out of the Nashville realm that were coming in here to work with those workers. And I think we really won that battle there and serve those people well. And that's always the focus about what we do. It's not just, did we meet the need? It's, did we serve those people well?
Mm-hmm. So in a year rife with challenges, what has been the hardest part of your job for you as the executive director?
I know you gave this to me early, like, and I really stared at that question, like, what do you say?
Are there too many answers, or?
No, I think part of this is about people, because emotions are real, feelings are real, fears are real. And that goes from like our team to volunteers to who we're serving to the people on the street. Like it crosses everyone. Everyone has been impacted in a different way. And I think that challenge is, how do you accept people every day, however they walk through your building, because they're here to serve. So they're trying to better themselves by coming to you to serve someone else. And in turn, serving these people that you don't know anything about them. You are trying to come up with a plan that works within your parameters and your limitations, but at the same time really meets the need of hundreds of thousands of people. And that's been just something we have tried to finesse and do every day. And there have been tears along the way. I mean, my board president and I have both had days of like, you're on top of the hill and it's a great day, and the next day you're like, everything went great and today it's not going so good. And I think that's just been a challenge. I think we also have taken on a whole new level of notoriety, a whole new level of partners, a whole new level of brands that we work with. And that has been such a blessing and such a curse at the same time, because we grew overnight. Something that we planned for a 3-year growth pattern happened in about 30 days. Wow. So your processes have to catch up. Your business practices have to catch up. Your security has to catch up. Like, all of those things just had to catch up overnight. Today we were building shelving as I was walking out the door. There were people drilling in the floor. Like, things like that just were a 3-year plan. And now you're doing it in 90 days. You see this dramatic shift. And then you spend a year or 11 months or so like playing catch up to that. And that's a huge challenge.
So conversely, what, if anything, has been easier for you? What have you found easier or better about your job this year with all the changes?
Certainly when you call now and you're like, I'm Tina, I'm with the CRC, people are like, I saw you on Facebook or I saw you here, or, my daughter was talking to a teacher and they're like, your mom is Tina Doniger? And she's like, yes, and there is some greatness with that because of an ease to get into a brand, an ease to get into a funder that maybe years before hasn't really worked with us. But I think at the same time, like, we are a place that people love to come and volunteer at. We work really hard on our culture inside our building and celebrating the small wins and the big wins. And that has allowed us to include other people into this that we've never really been able to bring into the fold. Certainly our volunteers and our board. And that's been the easy part, is how do you make people feel really welcome? And I think we do a great job of that.
Is there any particularly good advice that you received from either a mentor or a peer, or lessons that you learned from somebody that you have a relationship with this year?
I've been really lucky to have 3 or 4 people in my back pocket. They have stepped in when, I wasn't sure what we were going to do or how do we make that next jump. Certainly people along the way have have listened to my ranting or my raving or, whatever needed to be had at that moment. But, self-care has been a big push from several mentors, that it's important that my team step back and relax. And you know me well enough to know that does not come easy. I have had to be like, we have family game night every night where we're making dinner and, things like that allow just that decompression and a break with my family. My husband will say that I've been gone for a year, because it really has been a year of just focus on what the city needed, and how we react to that. And so any time that we could carve out some family time there has been really important. I think the other part of it is there have been just some amazing people along the way that came with those little drops of expertise when we needed it. One of them is a local business owner, and he was like, you need forklifts and you need a bunch of them right now. And here's who we're going to call. And, there were little things like that really turned our world upside down at that learning curve. But then implementing that was a game changer for us with multiple locations. I think the other thing is, I think about other nonprofits that have walked this path in a different way, and how maybe they're not called upon as much as we are, but those were the people that in the midst of certainly the Christmas Day bombing, the tornado relief, they were calling and cheering us on. And that to me speaks so much of a leader, that it's not just about helping in the midst of that, but also you can do this. You are doing great things. This is what the city needs right now. That was huge for me.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned earlier that you had about 3 years worth of strategy and growth plan that happened in about 30 days. So how has the past year, all of the challenges, all of the changes impacted where you're going in the next 5 years now?
Wow. We're talking about that right now. We've brought in our consultant again to really align our strategic plan with that. Certainly we're kicking off some amazing things in the city, which a VOAD is coming back. So that disaster part of all of the nonprofits that work in that space. I've committed 4 years of my life to that organization as the vice chair, and then moving on to the president after that. CRC is going to be operated at a level that we've never operated at. Because I don't think the need's going to bounce back. Everyone thought 2021 is going to be better. Well, certainly we didn't expect a bombing or a big cold snap and then some flooding. Those things aren't going to go away. It's how do you manage them now? And so I think we're in a better space to manage those blips on the radar that come. But I think at the same time, everyone's not going to go back to work at the same time. Everyone's not going to be able to get food easier all at the same time. So we've got to manage how that rolls out to people, as well as how it kind of comes back in. But we're preparing to operate at this level for the foreseeable future, which means more brands, more, tractor trailers delivering, goods to us that are really strategic in that line of what we need to serve. And I think this time for us has defined those products: diapers, wipes, formula, toothbrushes, toothpaste, deodorant. What are those things that you can't get on assistance, and what are the biggest needs with people? Now we just run as fast as you can to get those, and I don't know that we've ever been in that position really, because we'd take a lot of extras. And now the extras are clogging up the mainstays, I think the other thing is I see growth for us, definitely building a larger team of staffing because of what is expected now. But even a building, we have been in our building for a couple of years before the flood hit, and then we were impacted by the flood, and then now we're just bursting at the seams. So we're definitely going to have to grow a little bit more building-wise to handle everything. But I'm excited. I think our board is really excited about where we're headed. And I think that's, if you have an engaged board that allows us to do the day-to-day work, but carves a path for how we grow and how we maneuver in Nashville, that will be key to our success.
Mm-hmm. If you could go back and talk to Tina on March 1st of 2020, what would you tell her that you wish what do you wish you had known then that you know now?
I don't know that I would do it over. I don't know that there's any one thing that I could say to myself that would drastically change how we reacted. Mm-hmm. Maybe sleep a little bit more. That's a hot commodity in my house, but I think we handled it with grace. I think even in the midst of chaos, and I think about the day that I went to Facebook Live and I was like, I need 100 people and I need semi trucks right now. Like that was real. Like maybe handle it with a little bit better grace. But even in that time, people showed up and people served well, and the donations flowed, and all of those things that you hope that people see in the midst of what you're doing. Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't change anything. Yeah. I think ignorance is bliss a little bit in this, because certainly I think if people knew how hard my team has worked, how many hours we have spent in a warehouse, that we joke that if a tornado hit, we could sleep there because we have mattresses. Like, like if people really knew what has gone on behind those doors, I think they'd be really shocked. Mm-hmm. That a team of 3 and some really amazing regular volunteers have pulled off amazing feats.
Yeah. I think you've handled it with an exceptional amount of grace.
Oh, thank you.
Well, thank you for chatting with us, and thank you for all that you have done for the city of Nashville over the past year. It's really, really remarkable, and I hope that you feel really proud of the work that you and your team have done, because it's made a huge difference. So,
thank you.
Thanks.
I appreciate that.
Thank you so much for watching. For more In Charge talks and great leadership content, visit nashvillepost.com and go to the magazine section to see great interviews, including our In Charge list, which features over 500 local leaders in our spring quarterly magazine.